Thank you for tuning in to the talk show. I am Andra, and today we are going to be talking about smart strategies to implement for your business growth. So ways to do lead generation from a digital perspective. And I am joined by Mike. Hello there.
Hello.
Mike heads digital marketing at Marketopia, and we're just going to talk about things we want you to be keeping in mind and implementing, whether this is something that you do internally with your team, because that's obviously an option. Right. Build this out internally, whether you've got an awesome partner that you partner with locally or otherwise. And we just want to just put some things in your mind to make sure that you're thinking about things in the right ways. So let's get started.
All right. Sounds great.
So talk us through just real quick, the categories when really building out a strategic digital marketing plan for lead gen.
Okay.
Actually, before we talk about categories, let's talk about just all up business. So what would you suggest businesses do first before they even start to get into the ways that they're going to get lead generation? What should they do first as they're kind of going down this path of strategic marketing?
Okay.
Like, what would you suggest?
First thing, you want to understand what your goals are in marketing, right? So you have to start with your goals. You have to understand, am I trying to get X number of leads? And then you just work backwards from that, right? So all the different elements that we're talking about with like email and SEO and all that will generate different types of leads, and we'll dive into that a little bit deeper. But you want to figure out how many leads I need for this month or this year, and just kind of map out your goals and then work backwards from that, and then start to put the different pieces into play.
Absolutely. And it's, I totally agree. I know that we obviously work with a ton of partners. We obviously work with a ton of partners and vendors and work on just that, is determining the goals for growth in the business. And and it's interesting because I know that we both find this, that a lot of times businesses are so focused on what they want to do, like, oh, I know I need digital, I know I need SEO, I know I need this, but they haven't yet determined what they're trying to like grow to. Like, what are those growth goals? Like, how good is your sales team? What is your close ratio? What would you even do with the lead if you got a lead? So so there's some housekeeping items that I think obviously is what Mike is tagging into. There's housekeeping items that you really need to put in place first, like get your house in order first, determine what you want to grow by, determine what a lead is worth to you, do all of these things first, then get into how you're going to do it. So talk us through how. So how do businesses of a small size, a large size, how do they go about getting this in place?
Right. Regardless of your size of your business, you still have your core elements in digital marketing. I break it down to like email. Very basic. It's old school. Very effective still. So don't disregard it. So you have email, you have social media, which is growing exponentially each year.
Absolutely.
With the influence and the engagement that it creates. And it gives you that opportunity to have that one-on-one conversation, which is powerful, very powerful. You have SEO, then you have pay-per-click. So those four elements,
key.
We'll dive into those, but you have to have those four, and then how far you play out each one will depend on you.
Like how deep you go in each of the strategies.
How you want to scale your business.
Okay. And budgets, obviously.
And the manpower you have.
Yes.
And pay-per-click versus a lot of this is organic, which doesn't cost you any extra. It's just time versus the pay-per-click, which we have the long-term growth, and then we're going to throw some gas on the fire.
Yes.
So
let's go through each of those, because I love those topics. So if we're talking through those elements, and obviously there's many others too, but let's stick with the ones that you named, because I think that those are great. So walk us down the path of email. So if we are a small to medium business, say anywhere from, let's even go 1 or 5 or 10 to 250, right? And we're starting to figure out, we maybe have a marketing team internally that are doing some things, maybe we're partnering with someone, either way. If we're starting to go down that email path, walk us through things that we've got to keep in mind and things that you suggest that we do with email as a part of the strategy.
Right. So it starts with your list, right? So
data.
You have your data.
Okay.
And you want to segment that data. So you have 3 buckets generally, right? So you have your client, your current customer bucket. You have your partners, people who aren't your customers, but you use them, and they're gonna
referral partners type of things.
They possibly will recommend your services to somebody else. And then you have your prospect list, right? So you want to send emails to each of those 3 every month and stay in contact with them, right?
Absolutely.
So you can to your current clients, you can send out like a newsletter, just kind of keep them in the know of what's going on, show them that you love them a little bit.
Yeah.
You kind of just let them know that, hey, I recognize that you're my client, and I'm going to keep giving you value and tools to succeed, right? Referrals, you might want to send out something to your referral partners and just say, incentivize them. Say,
absolutely.
We'll do this for you if you kind of help spread the word about our business. Help us, and then we can work together. And your prospects, you're just those are your leads.
Absolutely.
Those are the ones you're going after. So you're each month gonna maybe suggest an e-guide download or an event to go to or something like that. Something to get their attention, pique their interest,
entice them to come and learn about you.
That's
right.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think one of the points you make on the current clients, on all three really, but on current clients, the importance of keeping in touch. I mean, we see this all the time, and you may be guilty of this yourself, where you work so hard to get that client. Your sales team is running in circles. You maybe as the business owner went in on that deal and really tried to help make that happen, and you get them, and you're so excited, and then you're servicing them. Maybe your service is wonderful. Maybe they don't really have any issues, which is a good thing, right? If you're providing their managed services, but you can't forget that they still need to hear from you. One of the tricky kind of ironic things about if you're really good at what you're doing, right? If you're providing a managed service to a client and they don't really hear from you a lot, that's actually good news, right? But the reality is that people, if they're not seen, they're sometimes forgotten, right? So you need to keep in touch with your clients via email, via these newsletters, and keep that relationship really, really sticky. And really neat ways to do that too. They can get to know through newsletters the people in your business, ways that you're maybe growing, and your growth is important to them because you're helping to support their business even more, right? If you get more people on your team, that means that you're actually providing a better service to them in their services. And so I think that that's really important. And then I think too, back to one of the things you were mentioning, is that you've got to be able to let them know also, as your business is growing, you might be offering a wider portfolio of products. So if you're doing that and you've got, if Mike is a client of mine and he maybe bought into one plan of mine, but he doesn't actually know that I've got these 5 more that we brought on just this year. And so you've got to upsell, cross-sell into your current client base out of their own best interests. So you're bringing on those products for a reason because they're in the best interest of your client. So you got to tell them about them. And you'd be surprised how many are like, oh, you do that now? Because it's better for them to come to you for everything. So they want to know about everything you're offering. And I agree on the referral partners. Having an incentive out there that is something that will perk their ears and get them to talk about you is awesome. And then prospects, totally agree. And talk about ways really quick, and then we'll go into the next the next one of the angles that you want to mention, but talk about ways to segment out that prospect list. Like, are there any cool ways that obviously you've got to have clean data, which you mentioned, but inside of that, give just like a way to dig into that and give maybe even segmented types of campaigns, maybe.
Right. So with your prospects, you can dive into different verticals that the managed services would help out, right?
Yep.
So it could be, hey, we're going to send out a message, and that's the great thing about marketing. The more specific and the more personalized you get, the more effective it is. So if you can segment your data out to, hey, in this bucket, out of 5,000 contacts, I have 1,200 who are in accounting. Send out a separate message just to that group, and they're like, wow, this company knows me. Yeah. And if you can make that email even more personal with, hey, Andrea, look what's new, blah, blah, blah about accounting, then they're like, wow.
And it
this
resonates.
Is very personal.
Absolutely.
And it will make people read the email.
Absolutely.
So, the first goal with the email is to get people to open it. The second is to get them to read it. Third is to get them to click through and either entertain an offer that you have or something like that. So there's stages to the email.
Absolutely.
Which we're not going to dive into.
Yeah, we won't go too deep in it right now. We'll have a totally different segment about that. But there are, to your point, ways to get very, very, very strategic, whether that's different types of drip campaigns or habitual based things. If someone does this, if thens, lots of different cool things, and we could talk about that for hours. I know. So we won't go into that right now. But let's talk about the next. So SEO. Talk us through that a little bit.
So SEO stands for search engine optimization, right? So this is your website that we're talking about. Organic results tend to be better leads, right? Because they're searching for you, right? So your job is to make your website more searchable and make it, so it appears on the first page of Google, who owns what, 94%
Yes.
of the internet world,
Yes.
right? So, if you can make your website show up on the first page of Google, you're in play. People are searching for your service and you're showing up, and people are very quick to like skip on to the next, and they're not going to page 2, 3, or 4. So your goal is to be on page 1. So with SEO, what that does is it allows you to optimize your website for the terms that people are searching for. And you have to be very strategic. Every website should be built on SEO first.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great that it looks good.
Yes.
But if it's not built on the right search terms, it's just a billboard that nobody
pointless.
sees.
Yes.
So you want to be on, in that space, and you be very strategic. So you want to find a core keyword, whether it's managed service provider or managed services Dallas, and then
getting it really local.
right? And then let's say you have a 15-page website. You want to make each page rank for a different word around that core
Yes.
keyword.
Okay. So talk about why that's important, because I think that this is an awesome point.
Okay.
One of the things that we find with a lot of the partners that come and play with us, and we do a lot of audits of sites, and obviously we have clients coming on left and right that we are redoing websites for. So one of the things that we do find is that they're not set up. Many partners think about their website as a marketing piece, like almost like collateral, like it's out there for people to read things on it. If they already know who we are, it's out there for them to go, look up more, get to know us a little bit more. It's really just for our clients to go into our client portal. We really don't do much with the website. No leads come from it, but it really comes back to this. If it's not set up and riddled with SEO terms, it's not able to be found. If it's not responsive, it's not user friendly. So it's a huge opportunity missed in not having it set up correctly, because those are just leads left on the table.
That's
and
right.
I will tell you that if you're not getting those leads, someone else is. Someone is searching for managed IT services. People are searching day in and day out for help with supporting their business from an IT infrastructure perspective. So those are missed opportunities.
Yes.
So from an SEO perspective, it's obviously really important to make sure that the site is set up well. Now talk through what you were just mentioning. Why is it important that there's different terms inside the site?
Right. So we talked about the example managed services Dallas. So, and then before the email, we're talking about accounting. So let's say you have an accounting page. You want to say managed services Dallas for accounting or something. It's called a long tail keyword. It basically allows you to not have your website compete against itself.
Yes.
Right. So if you have a 15-page website and every page is managed services Dallas, well, then you have one page that's going to show up, because all the pages are ranking for the same word, right? So if you have each page ranking for a different word based around the same strong core keyword, all of a sudden you have 5 of your pages on page 1 of Google, which is more powerful to the user who's searching for you. It's like, wow, they're showing up for this. And
then you're pushing down all the competition too. So you look even more powerful, because it's like, oh, wait a minute, this company's all of these things. They must be amazing.
Exactly.
And it really helps with that perceived elevated
authority.
Perceived look, and perception is reality, we all know. It's that, and that's the user experience.
Powerful.
And so you can't forget about that. And it's not just, if you're looking to do more than have a referral based business, which I know many of you are. There's a stat floating out there around Forrester that I love that says in 2024 there's going to be 40% of the current IT owners looking to get out of the game and retire. So by 2024, which means we've got 4 years. And a lot of these business owners are either going to hand down the business to any of their children, or will it to someone, or they're going to sell to somebody who's looking for that. So, and get acquired. And if that's the case, and you don't have a really strategic business set up to do great digital lead gen, you're really going to be missing out. So this is something that we obviously are urging you to take seriously and implement into your strategy. So let's talk about paid. So so we talked about SEO. So SEO obviously is getting yourself set up to be searched. Now there's ways to organically. So there's ways to manipulate search a little bit. So talk us through paid.
Okay. So with SEO, that was free, right? That's just, it's time put into it. Pay-per-click SEM, basically takes up those top 3 spots on the web on each
Yes.
each search engine results page.
Yes.
So
And you know what he's talking about. These are the ads when you're looking for
Right.
something, and it's like,
So those top 3
Yes.
spots are always like sponsored. So that allows you, if you're already doing well with SEO, and then you like start putting like some paid ads around the same keywords, all of a sudden you're not just in those first 5-7 spots, you're actually in the top 3
Yes.
spots as well. So you show up paid, you show up SEO, and that's just even more brand authority.
Yes.
So the thing with SEM is like someone is searching out that word, right? So regardless if your website is starting to rank yet, pay-per-click allows you to be on that page because you're paying to be there.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you're a new company just starting out, a lot of times it takes SEO, 12 months to kind of really get traction, right? And it grows exponentially, but maybe during those first 9 months, you want to add some pay-per-click to it to kind of like make sure that you are relevant
showing up
and
in
you
those
are
trends.
there.
Yes, and I love that piece, because if you are just getting into the digital game, and specifically I was in the SEO game to that point, there are still, if you've got competitors out there that are doing this well already, are already doing paid well, are already doing SEO well, you're really behind the times.
That's right.
So you've got to, 1, get in the game, but 2, while you're waiting to actually be ranked in the game organically, to actually show up on that page 1 for that popular keyword that you've deemed important for your website, this, to Mike's point, is a way to game the system. So if you know that your competitor is showing up on page 1 in the top slot, maybe even the top 3 slots if they're really savvy, now you can say, you know what, I'm going to show up because I'm going to pay for it in the tippy top slot, which is
you can
paid.
outbid your competition.
Absolutely.
So if
And that's
you want to be number 1,
yes,
you can be number 1.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to make sure that you are where you need to be when it comes to the leads that you're looking to generate. So I love that. So that is paid. Let's talk about social a little bit.
Okay. So a good segue from paid to social is there's also paid social.
Yes.
We were talking about Google ads, but there's also paid social ads, and then there's organic social ads, right? So paid social ads is the same thing. It's pay to play. Organic social is free. It's just time. What I want to dive into about social is like you have 3 main social platforms, right? So you have LinkedIn, you have Facebook, and you have Twitter.
Yep.
They all have different audiences, so you have to talk differently on each one. The great thing is it allows you to engage with your audience. So you can have that one-to-one conversation. If someone comments on the post, it's like, hey, thanks, Andrew. I appreciate you commenting. How's it going or whatever. And it allows you to, whether start a conversation or basically engage with a current client already, just to kind of let them know that I'm here, I'm active, I'm present, and this isn't just some broadcast post, but this is like me showing value to you and the users and everything. So
yes, and I think with social, yes, the conversation is totally different. It's the difference between if you are in your house having an intimate conversation, maybe that's the Facebook world, right? It's to your friends. It's something that you would do that's a little bit more social on your personal pages, right? When you get on your business page on social, that's more about showing the heart of your company,
that's right.
Who you are. It's really about showing what your company is based on. So that could be things that you're doing out in the community. That could be individuals that you're hiring. That could be fun things that you're up to. It's really just showing who you are from the inside. And then you go to LinkedIn, and I always joke that LinkedIn's like the boardroom. So it's like you're in the office.
Absolutely.
It's the boardroom. It's things you want to talk about, things that are
leadership.
important. You can throw in some water cooler talk in there too, as far as just more casual things that you want to share out or that you think are important. But it's a way for you to get in front of your business community in a way that is a little bit more social. And if you do it right, and we'll have a whole nother segment that goes deep on social, but if you do it correctly, there are really sticky ways that you can keep in touch with people and stay more relevant, and ways that you can really kind of hack the system on, what you're liking, what you're posting, who you're actually attaching inside of your post, hashtags you're using. So
that's right.
It gets really exciting. But to your point, organic versus paid is the same game as it is in search engine inside of social.
That's right.
So it's important to understand how it's played.
And it's important to remember that social media, they're basically search engines too.
Yeah, they are.
So, and some of the largest,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you want to be in that space and don't disregard social media. Facebook. I mean,
I love that you say it. Like, it is a search engine.
Yes.
You literally can go up in the search box and search for whatever you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I tell so many people that LinkedIn is one of the best HR tools because you can literally search for exactly what you're looking for.
That's
and
right.
every single person has posted exactly all their skill sets.
That's right.
So you can see who's out there and who they might know. You know, they it might not even just be them. You might be looking for somebody else, and they can connect you. And then too, just on different influencers in the space. And there's so many awesome ways to use LinkedIn.
Right.
And I cannot wait to.
Prospecting. I mean, it's a network.
That's exactly what. And you can look for exactly what your prospect
That's
is,
right.
who it is, without having to just go to Google and maybe search and hope
That's
to
right.
find them.
Absolutely.
Talk through a little bit too of you know, from a Google, something I think is important. Obviously, searching on maps. So because a lot of these companies, obviously like yourself, are local, you may be having more of a nationwide presence if you have different locations, but for the lion's share, majority of technology service providers, be that a managed service provider of any type of solution provider, a CSP, all of the acronyms. So in doing this, it's important if you've got a local business to be able to be found local.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about why Google My Business is so important for a local business when they're really getting into this digital world.
Okay, so very crucial to have a Google My Business page, and I'll dive into each element of it. But most people are searching mobile now. I mean there are desktop users obviously, but people are looking MSP near me or something. They just talking to their phone. So you want to make sure that your local presence is set, you know, and they know that, you know, because a lot of people say near me, you know, find a pizza place near me, find hair salon near me, you know, but if you're looking for a service provider near me, you want to pop up and you want to be number one, and you want and Google My Business allows you to do that, and it's free. So one of the key things you want to do though is build out that Google My Business presence, and you want to take pictures of your business with your phone, with your location services turned on, because what that allows you to do is it embeds all that GPS data into the phone or into the picture. So when you upload those pictures, when people are clicking on the pictures, and you know, you can add the SEO elements to the photos and everything else, it's just like another website with an SEO presence, and it just makes you visible, which is what you want to be.
Absolutely, and especially locally. I mean, in a business, and granted, the more savvy that business owners get when looking for IT services, the more important it becomes to be relevant in all these areas that Mike's mentioning. Because if you don't have a layered approach, and maybe you jump on these bandwagons, I call it bandwagon marketing, because you're like, oh, everyone says that SEO is so important. Let's just invest a little bit in SEO. I don't need anything else. Oh, email. Okay, email's not dead. Wait, let's just do a little bit of email. And if it's not consistent, and you don't have this layered approach throughout your whole strategy where they all interact and play with each other and they're intertwined with each other, you're missing anyone who's not searching in that one way. So if it's not just, you know, if you've only got email and you don't have search, you've got a problem. If you've only got search and you don't have email, you've got a problem. You need to be approaching it from a sophisticated, strategic fashion by having all of these linked in properly. And we'll go deeper in that in another segment, but there are really smart ways to keep it all intertwined, and then to follow the lead wherever the lead is at. So the lead might come to you via, say, they found it in search, like Mike was saying, and they found you via SEO, and then they came in. Well, you should be compiling that data back to mentioning data is so important, compiling that data into your systems, and then putting those into a nurture campaign like he was talking about before, in the segment of the data that makes the most sense. If it was a referral partner that came in, awesome, they go down that path, client and also prospect, and so on and so forth.
And it also allows you to know where to spend your time and money.
Yes.
You know, if you're tracking all that and you know that 80% of your phone calls come from your Google My Business page, that's huge.
Absolutely.
And you know, I need to really build this out and then, you know, grow that presence even more.
Absolutely. So for those partners that might be watching this, and again, you may be in all different spans of getting a marketing strategy together, specifically too from a digital perspective. But one thing that I know for certain is that when we do any sort of surveys that go out, or any survey in the space that says, you know, what are the top issues that any partner is having, it's always sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. How do I get leads? And then how do I close leads? How do I get leads? How do I close leads? Those are the biggest issues. Upwards of like 95% of partners would respond that is the case. It's marketing and sales. So with these digital plays that Mike's mentioning, these are awesome to get inside of your strategy. Now, if you're doing this on your own internally, there are great partners out there. If you say, I just want to focus on my business, I know nothing about marketing, everything Mike said just terrified me, what do I do? There's a ton of companies out there that you can partner with, and I would urge you to go look around and see what's out there for you. Now, and Marketopia is just one of them, but from the other side of the house, if you're building out this strategy internally, talk through some tools. So in each one of those segments, so email, paid, be it social or search, and then talk through just SEO too. What can they put in and implement without like breaking the bank? Like what are some things that they can put in?
Okay, so we can go by each one.
Sure.
So with email,
Yeah.
I mean, there are all kinds of resources out there, right?
Yes.
Whether it's like a HubSpot or a Constant Contact or a MailChimp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can be as complex or, scale up, your cost as much as you want based on your contacts, right? The more you pay, the interfaces tend to look better,
Yes.
and the data is better to like interpret and all that. But if you're just doing bare bones, I mean, you can start with the basic. I mean, you can send out of Outlook if you had to.
Yeah,
the important thing is to engage and to send out
and to be consistent
That's
in
right.
messaging. Yes, I agree.
So you want to do that. Social media is a given. They built the platform for you. So, but there are like scheduling, things out there like Hootsuite
Yes.
that could allow you to kind of, let's say, I want to spend all day today just writing content. And then you can like put all that into like a Hootsuite
Yes.
and schedule it out and say, I want to send out this message on Thursday, this one on Friday, this one on next Monday, this one on Tuesday. You can pick the time of the day, which there's best practices around the time of day you want to send out your messages. So you can use tools like that to be more time efficient, right?
Yep,
so that
absolutely.
you don't necessarily have to be in Facebook every day.
And doing it in that moment,
Right.
yes. And it doesn't break up your day or break up whatever
Right.
you're focusing on at the moment. Pre-planning is absolutely awesome
Right.
for social. So yeah, that's a great tool.
So for SEO, we like tools like SEMrush. It's a huge tool for us because it allows you to, look at your competitors. It allows you to see what keywords are being searched.
Yes.
So you can be very data driven with your decision on your keyword strategy.
Yes.
And say, all right, this keyword is very popular. And it also tells you if I want to add some PPC or paid dollars to this keyword, on average, what it's going to cost every time somebody clicks on this word. So it's a very powerful tool, and it can be as intense as you want it to be.
Yes.
It's very user friendly. Which is why we like it.
Yes.
But it also has great data and a lot of assets to it that allows to, use it to
Be
its
smart
full,
about
be
the things
smart
that are
about
going
it.
on. Yeah. And one thing on that too, the terms that you would think, or maybe you would think,
Right.
are being searched aren't always the terms being searched. And
That's
so
right.
these tools like SEMrush that Mike is mentioning is really unique because you check and balance what your actual thoughts are. You might think, and this, we're very guilty of this in the IT space, that because we
the
talk
term.
about things and know the terms and know the acronyms and know all of this, that's the type of search that someone looking for our services is going to put in, and that is not always the case.
Right.
And actually, it's very rare that it is the case, because a lot of the terms that we use inside of our space, just like if you're at a doctor's office, terms that they use if all the doctors are talking with each other are going to be very different than if Mike and I are looking for
That's right.
a doctor because we have a broken arm. And so we really need to be thinking strategically, and the tool that he just mentioned, SEMrush, really allows you to do that. And there are others out there
There
too,
are
and we
others.
use a lot of different tools here. But that's a good one to kind of get you started, so that you can go out, check the terms that
Right.
you think might be important, get a good idea of what is being searched. One of the things he mentioned is checking competition. It's great to see what your competition is doing as well, and see what they are and are not ranking for. We keep up on everything in the space for our clients too, so we know of our clients' local area is their competitor that they're maybe losing deals to, or that they want to keep in competition with, or keep getting better than. What are they ranking for, or are they ranking? Like, where are those deals coming from and those leads coming from inside of their business? So SEMrush
right.
is an awesome one.
Yes.
Any other tools that you want to share with?
So I mentioned some paid tools. I mean, there are free ones out there as well.
Yeah.
Google Analytics, that's free
Yes,
for
a
everybody.
basic, and
I mean,
it's awesome.
it is huge.
Yep.
So you have to kind of work your way through it. Start simple. The great thing about Google Analytics is you can type in the search, just give me a dashboard on this.
Yes.
And it will build it for you or show you where to find it, which is great.
Which is powerful, especially when you're working with, maybe one team member internally. I know a lot of the partners that we interface with, maybe they've got an intern, maybe they've got a young, more of a green team that maybe knows social, but maybe isn't as great at all the other things. Just because you're good at one piece of it, maybe you're great at SEO, it's really hard to find one person to do all of the things. There are different science in every single one of them. So it becomes difficult. So a lot of times it's great to either build out that team and get every single person in a different specialty. Like Mike's team, there's SEO specialists, there's email specialists, there's social specialists, there's paid specialists. And because it's so intricate what you can do with these strategies that someone needs to know everything about it without being a generalist, and you kind of stay top level. So if you do have these internal individuals, it's awesome. If your internal individuals can only do maybe one thing, partner with someone like a Marketopia where we can layer on top of what you're already doing, and make sure that you're doing it the most effective that you possibly can. So thank you so much for being on today.
My pleasure.
And I hope that we left you with a little something to think about and some strategies to implement into your business. And we wish you the best of luck with your digital marketing strategy.